What's his name? That's our conversation last
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone and call to order the meeting of the Provo City Board of Canvassers. It is 5:35 p.m. on Tuesday, November 19th, 2019, and we are gathered in the City Center Municipal Council chambers at 351 West Center Street, Provo, Utah. This meeting is being broadcast live on the web on the Provo City Council YouTube channel, where it will also be available for on-demand viewing. The Board of Canvassers requests that attendees help maintain the decorum of the meeting by silencing electronic devices, being respectful to others, and refraining from applause or other outbursts during the proceedings of the meeting. We will begin with a roll call. Mr. Strachan?
Cliff Strachan.
Brian Jones.
Gary Winterton.
Stewart. Dave Sewell.
David Harding.
Kay Van Buren.
Dave Connect.
George Handley.
Wayne Parker.
For us today, we have a resolution of the mayor and municipal council sitting as the Board of Canvassers, accepting the election returns and declaring and certifying the results of the vote for the general election held on Tuesday, November 5th, 2019. This will be presented to us by our city recorder, Ms. Amanda Erkenbrack.
Thank you, Council. I'm happy to report that we had a great election. We had a total voter turnout of 37.17%. That's more than double what it was in 2015 when we had the same election. So we had a strong turnout. If you don't mind, David, if you'll just pull up the resolution for the council. One thing I would mention is that 37%, it does include people who voted on the school bond issue, but not necessarily on a council race. So there is a little bit of a discrepancy. So the first thing that we'll cover is the citywide 2 general election. We had 14,821 votes cast. 8,235 votes were cast in the affirmative for David Shipley. 6,586 votes were cast in the affirmative for Janae Moss. So David Shipley is declared and elected as council member for the citywide 2 position. Next, we had the Council District 1. We had 3,890 votes cast. All of those were cast for Bill Fillmore. He was the only person on the ballot, so he had a 100% of the vote. And then in our citywide, let's see, we had our, Council District 3. We had 2,620 votes cast. 1,697 were for Shannon Ellsworth. 923 were for Robin Roberts. So Shannon Ellsworth had the highest number of votes, and she is elected as the council member for District 3. In Council District 4, we had 4,678 votes. 2,625 were cast for Travis Hoban. 2,053 votes were cast for Valerie Paxman. So Travis Hoban had the highest number of votes and is elected for Council District 4. And David, if we could just switch to the canvas report. No, it's the one, it's titled General Canvas Report. Thank you. That was it. Okay, so in our citywide 2, we had 41,453 active registered voters. We had 14,821 ballots cast for a voter turnout of 35.75%. In District 1, we had 10,840 active registered voters. with 3,890 ballots cast for a turnout of 35.89%. In District 3, we had 8,201 registered voters with 2,620 ballots cast, so the turnout was 31.95%. In District 4, we had 10,519 registered voters with 4,678 ballots cast for a turnout of 44.47%. And then if you'll scroll down just a little bit. Oh, sorry, that was perfect. So we had 52 provisional ballots. Those are people who were first-time registrants or they had address corrections that they needed to make. Of those, we only had 3 that were not counted, and those were due to ID issues. 1 had no proof of residency, and 2 of them did not have proper identification. And that is the canvass. Do you have any questions for me?
In past elections, we've talked about just overall how the vote went, and so I was curious. You know, I know the city doesn't administer the elections, but did we learn anything? How do we feel like the overall process went this year?
So it was the same process we used in the primary. There have been a lot of process improvement efforts made on the county's part. We saw that votes were counted a lot quicker. If you looked at the election night results, once you were finally able to view those on the website, the majority of the votes that they had received at that point had been counted. So we're getting results a lot quicker. We're not seeing as many provisionals that aren't being counted, which is great. And more people are taking advantage of the drop box that we have at the library, so much so that we're considering upgrading it to a larger box. So it's working out really well so far.
I'm just curious about anything that you have heard about weighted voting.
What was that?
Where you choose
The ranked choice voting?
ranked choice voting. Thank you. That's the
Payson
term.
and Vineyard participated this year. And in a meeting last Thursday, they informed us that it was a great experience. They said they didn't have any calls questioning the results and that people were generally happy with it. And that was according to their city recorders.
And there's an article in the Daily Herald this week that's worth looking at about it too. It just gives an update on it.
Anything else?
Should our city decide to do something like that, do you feel like you're in a position that you could handle something like that?
That is up to our administration. I think we could certainly handle it. I didn't see any major problems. So I think it would require some council discussion and a decision on the part of the administration.
I assume in both of those jurisdictions there was no primary.
There was not. Nope. So they didn't have a primary. They will have that cost savings. Really, the only thing that I could see that was a little bit confusing is if you looked at the results on election night, it changed quite a bit from election night to the next time they posted. So I think that would just have to be something that we expect, is that it can fluctuate quite a bit as new ballots come in and it changes the result. Anything else?
I think just maybe one last one. I felt, just from my perspective, and I'm not deep in the trenches, but just kind of from the resident citizen perspective, watching the results come in, I think you kind of alluded to it maybe a little bit. Right at 8 o'clock, it was difficult to get information. It did start to kind of trickle out and spread, but then it also felt like past years we were told, okay, and they were smaller number of votes counted, but we knew, okay, in 3 days we would see an update, and then there'd be an update. Okay, and now it's going to be next Monday before you're going to get another update, and there were multiple releases, and I'm perfectly happy if more are counted, so there's less releases, but it was okay. We have these numbers of all the votes cast. How many is that? I mean, is there just 10% left, or is this only 50% of the vote? And I didn't see that message getting out to the public well. So
That's a great question, and I think one of the reasons it wasn't answered is because it's hard to know how many ballots are still in the mail, how many are still coming in. They did give a rough estimate of about 80% was posted on election night, but that was after the fact. So I think it's just a hard thing for them to estimate because we don't know how many are still going to come in. And in fact, we had 162 that people actually put in the mail after the postmark deadline. So people are still mailing them even after that Monday that they need to get it postmarked. So I think it's just kind of not knowing how many are still coming in. They do have the 14 days to try to verify signatures and things like that need to be corrected, verify proof of residency, those types of things. So it's a little bit hard to guess, but they did say roughly 80% was posted on election night. And the website they acknowledged was an issue. They said so many people hitting it all at once. And they have this great new map, but there were so many numbers. And with all the traffic coming in and out of the website, they did have a few problems with it. But they had it up and running the next day, and they're making improvements on it. So hopefully next time around, or for our presidential election next year, they'll have everything up and going and steady.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Thank you.
It's all right. We're grateful that the mayor has joined us, so welcome to her. And we'd also like to congratulate the new councilors-elect, David Shipley, Bill Fillmore, who I believe both of them are with us tonight, as well as Shannon Ellsworth and Travis Hoban, whom I haven't seen, but it doesn't look like they're here. So, but congratulations to all four of you. And I'll speak on behalf of the other two that will be remaining on the council. We're looking forward to working with you next year and the coming years. Mr. Jones?
Just, I guess for the public that may not be aware of this issue, this is a little bit of a unique item in the sense that the Board of Canvassers actually consists of both the council and the mayor. So all 8 of you are entitled to vote and make a motion on this item, which will require a motion to actually approve the canvass report.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I was getting ahead of myself a little bit, wasn't I? So at this point, we've had the presentation. So we would like to open up this item for any public comment. If anyone here would like to speak to the council on this. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Any discussion among the board? All right, I will look for a motion then. We've gotten out of the habit. Mr. Sewell, was that
I think, okay, I was just going to move that we accept the election returns and certify the results. Is that the appropriate terminology?
Excellent, thank you for that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Excellent.
My one vote a year.
Excellent. Seconded by Mayor Kafusi. Any discussion on this motion? Mr. Sewell.
I just wanted to say thanks to all the candidates who ran, those who will be joining us, and those who put themselves forward and won't be joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Sewell. I agree. It's not much of a democracy if we don't have choices at the ballot box. So thank you to all of our, everyone who was willing to step forward. Any other discussion? I will call for a vote on the motion. All in favor? And that is unanimous. An 8-0 vote, which doesn't happen very often. Thank you, Mayor. And now would probably be a better, more appropriate time to congratulate our councilors-elect. And if there is no objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned by unanimous consent. And just with a heads up to the public, we do have our regular council meeting, but it is not, it was not announced to begin until 6 o'clock. So we are going to take about a 10-minute recess.
Did you want to mention the inauguration of the councilors will be held?
Oh, maybe I should read my notes. Yes, so as a public service announcement, now that the meeting is closed, and just to take up these 10 minutes while we wait, the inauguration of the new councilors will be held at 6 p.m. on Monday, January 6th, 2020 in the council chambers, which is here. And while we're doing announcements, would it be appropriate if I announce that in 3 weeks, on the 10th of December, between the council work session and the council meeting. What time would that be?
So about 4:30 to 6 PM on Tuesday, December 10th.
4:30 till 6 p.m. December 10th, we will have an open house here in the council chambers.
Chambers and foyer here.
Chambers and foyers, just as kind of a farewell to our retiring council members.
Retiring, they haven't passed.
And we will convene our council meeting at 6 o'clock.